Hello again, Dr. Mashburn, and this is going to be our last muscle lab lecture. And so we're going to cover the muscles of the leg, and we've divided the leg muscles into the upper leg, the gluteal muscles or butt muscles, your quadriceps, which are the muscles on the front of your thigh, your hamstrings, which are the muscles on the back of your thigh, the inner and outer thigh muscles, and your lower leg muscles. So again, I hope you have your lab guide with you, and I'm going to go through these muscles in the order that they are listed in your lab guide. So the first set of muscles are your gluteal muscles, and again, these would be your butt muscles, and so these are going to be on your posterior and also to the lateral side. And with all muscles, again, when we've talked about different namings, look for region names. So this is your gluteal region, so that should tell you that you're in the gluteal region. And again, muscles can be named on location or size or their action. So as you're learning these muscles, pay attention to their naming. So gluteal muscles are named based on the gluteal region, and they come in three sizes: maximus, medius, and minimus. If you ever see a maximus, there's going to be a minimus, okay? And in this case, you also have a medius, and so that's the three different sizes. The external or most superficial muscle is the gluteus maximus. It's the biggest muscle. And then just underneath that, and kind of um, it has a fan-shaped muscle here. So it's more straight up. The gluteal muscle, the gluteus maximus, kind of comes in at an angle across your butt. The gluteus medius is just underneath that. It's more of a fan-shaped muscle. And I'll show you another picture with the gluteus minimus. The gluteus maximus is the muscle that hyperextends your hip. So think about an ice skater in an arabesque that's putting your leg, so like let's just draw an ice skater. Okay, and so if, well, let's draw it this way. So she's flying through the ice, and she's got her leg down, and the other leg's kind of up like that. Okay, I know I can't draw. So that's hyperextension. So if you're in an arabesque, that would be your gluteus maximus that's doing that. So look at your fiber directions, and that can kind of show you that it kind of pulls your leg up. It also everts and lateral rotates your leg. Okay, so if you were to squeeze your butt muscle and contract it, it would evert or make your foot kind of go out to the side, laterally rotate your femur. The gluteus medius, and it's hard to do on a PowerPoint because I can't show you any movement. So again, you'll need to kind of think about these muscles. There's also some videos, muscle videos that you can YouTube to help you understand some of these movements. Gluteus medius, the origin is the lateral surface of the ilium, and so this is going to be this right here. So it's got this fan-shaped muscle, and it inserts on the femur, and so its action is to abduct and elevate the leg laterally. So so if you're standing like this, it causes your leg to go out to the side. So abducts and elevates the leg laterally. So if you were laying on your side, if you were doing leg raises, that's what you would, the muscle that you would use. Now the gluteus minimus, I'm going to flip to this next slide. It does the same thing as the gluteus medius. So it's a synergist. It also helps you elevate and abduct the leg laterally. And so on this muscle, what we've done is we've cut away. So this is the gluteus maximus here and here. And if you would imagine, this is the gluteus medius here. We've cut it away, and underneath, just underneath, and in the same pattern, the same fan-shaped pattern as the gluteus minimus. So when you're looking for these different muscles on your lab test, find the deepest fan-shaped muscle, and that will be your gluteus minimus. Just superficial to that will be your gluteus medius, and then the most outside or most superficial will be your gluteus maximus. All right, and I'll show you these on another model as well. Okay, so your quadriceps, and so people think that they have a quadriceps muscle, and it's really four muscles, so it's a muscle group. And so the quadriceps are made up of your rectus femoris, your vastus lateralis, your vastus medialis, and your vastus intermedius. And so the three that you can see on this particular slide is your rectus femoris, and this is this one. So rectus means straight, and femoris is over the femur, so it's a straight muscle over the femur. The vastus lateralis is going to be the lateral muscle, and the vastus medialis is going to be the medial muscle. All right, and so what the rectus femoris does, it flexes the hip and it extends the knee. So if you're sitting down and you kind of straighten your leg out, that's knee extension. Or if you're squatting down and stand up, that's knee extension. So flexion of the hip and extension of the knee. It's the prime mover in knee extension, so it does the most work. So if you were to squat down right now and then slowly raise up, you would kind of feel this muscle burning because it's doing most of the work in straightening your knee or extending your knee. The vastus lateralis is going to pull your knee out, okay, so eversion of the knee. The vastus medialis will move or pull your knee to the midline or inversion of the knee. Now, deep to the rectus femoris, you have the vastus intermedius. So I have pulled the rectus femoris and cut it away. So the muscle that's underneath that, this one right here, is going to be your vastus intermedius. So it's intermediate to the vastus lateralis and the vastus medialis. And it works synergistically with all the other quadriceps to help you extend the knee. So it will help the rectus femoris extend the knee. Turning back to the back side again, we want to look at your hamstrings. So your hamstrings is a group name for three muscles. You have your biceps femoris, your semitendinosus, and your semimembranosus. Now, the reason you can't ever say just biceps, so if on a test you write biceps, I need to know biceps femoris or biceps brachii. So if it's in the leg, it's the biceps femoris. If it's in the arm, it's the biceps brachii. So the biceps femoris is going to be the lateral, okay, so it's the lateral muscle. All right, so if you're looking at the leg, this is going to be the lateral side. You can tell that because your ilium is right here, and this is going to be your gluteus maximus over here. So this is your lateral side, this is your medial side. So your biceps femoris is going to be this muscle right here, okay? Your semitendinosus and semimembranosus are your medial muscles. And the semitendinosus is a kind of a skinny muscle, so it lies, it's the most superficial, and the semimembranosus kind of lays underneath it. So I think tendon being long and skinny and membrane kind of wide and fat. So the semitendinosus is the superficial and the semimembranosus is the deep one. So the tendinosus lays on top of the membranosus. So what do these muscles do? The biceps femoris helps flex the knee. So if you're standing up and you bend your leg and pull your foot up to reach your butt, then that's going to be your biceps femoris flexing the knee. It also extends the hip and laterally rotates the leg. So it's going to pull the leg laterally. The semitendinosus and membranosus also flex the knee, so they all work together. That makes them synergists, flexing the knee. They all work to extend the hip, and then the semitendinosus will medially rotate the leg. So again, look in your lab guide. I've got all of this information included in your lab guide as far as the actions. And again, I would always encourage you to kind of stand up and find these muscles on yourself and make these movements. That way you can understand what they do. That's what we do in my classroom. We stand up and we move our muscles. All right, and then so let me go back. Let's see, I need to talk about the other thigh muscles. So I didn't put in another picture. I'm going to go back to this first slide. You have your tensor fasciae latae, your sartorius, your adductors, and your gracilis. So this is the tensor fasciae latae. It's on the outside, the lateral side. It's this long muscle. And if you can find this long piece of connective tissue, I like to say it's the tensor lata fascia, and that kind of helps me find it. What you're looking at, that's the iliotibial band, and so if you have a iliotibial band problem, it's that piece of connective tissue that extends down to your knee. So this is the tensor fasciae latae right there. The sartorius is this kind of diagonal muscle here, okay, and the gracilis is this skinny straight muscle. It's the most medial muscle, okay. Now, on your lab guide, we've got adductors, and there's several. We have a longus and a magnus, and several other ones. We're going to go with group names. So this group of muscles that are in this V between the sartorius and the gracilis, those are your adductor muscles, okay? So what do they do? The tensor fasciae latae, this is the one if you're on your hands and knees, and you want to elevate your leg at 45-degree angle like a doggy lift, that's what it does. So it flexes and abducts the hip. The sartorius, if you were to cross your legs, like sit crisscross applesauce, it's going to help you flex your hip and invert your knees. So it's going to pull your knees out. So again, like you're sitting yoga style. Your adductors, this is what you're going to think about, adducting your knees together, like thinking about gripping a saddle of a horse. So if you're going to grip a horse back, you'd use your adductors. And also your gracilis. So you can use your gracilis and your adductors to help kind of hold you in on top of a horse if you're like riding horseback, squeezing your thighs together. All right. So again, look, if you're looking at these muscles, the tensor fasciae latae and the gracilis and adductors would be antagonists, because the tensor fasciae latae takes your leg this way, and the adductors and gracilis take your leg that way, so they're antagonists. The tensor fasciae latae is also a synergist to the gluteus minimus. Okay, so it helps you abduct your hip. Let's see what else. I think I covered everything in those thigh muscles. So now let's move down to the lower leg. And so I've tried to take out the extra muscles that you don't need to know and just leave the ones that you do need to know. So on this one, you can see your fibularis longus. Okay, that's going to be the lateral muscle. Your tibialis anterior, so it's in front of the tibia. So this is going to be your tibialis anterior. You have your gastrocnemius, and that's your calf muscle. So we're looking at this from the front side. I'll show you it from the back side as well. And then your soleus. Your soleus is just in front of your gastrocnemius and just behind your tibialis anterior. All right. And then you have your extensors on your feet. So you've actually got some muscles that extend your toes down here. But the ones we're going to talk about are the ones that are up in your lower leg, called the extensor digitorum. These are the ones that help you extend your toes, or when you think about kind of spreading your toes apart, those muscles are going to be found up in this part of the leg. So if I said name the muscles that extend your toes, I'm talking about the extensor digitorum. So what does the tibialis anterior do? So this is the tibialis anterior right here, again next to the tibia, and it flexes the ankle, or dorsiflexion. Okay, so dorsi. So think about pointing your toes back up to your nose. Okay, so pointing your toes up. All right, that's what your tibialis anterior does. The fibularis longus is also called the peroneus longus. So this is going to be this one here on the outside near your fibula. It everts the sole of the foot. Okay, so that means it kind of pulls kind of causes your feet to evert. So go back and look at your pictures of what these movements look like, so you can understand what foot eversion looks like, because I can't really show you on a PowerPoint. It also helps in plantar flexion. So that means to point your toes. So to plantar flex means to point your toes. So this is a good view of what the tibialis anterior looks like isolated. You can see it's in front of the tibia. So I just wanted to show you kind of the isolated muscle here. This is a side view. So you can see the gastrocnemius is here, and it goes all the way down to your heel and connects to your calcaneus by the calcaneal tendon, which you guys probably have heard of as your Achilles tendon. So the calcaneal tendon and your Achilles tendon is the same thing. So the gastrocnemius has its origin up on the femur, its insertion on the heel, and so if this contracts, that's going to make you go up on your toes. Okay, so plantar flexion. So you're going to point your toes with your gastrocnemius, or your calf muscle. This little sandwich muscle here, right here, that's your soleus. It's named because it's flat like a fish, like a sole, like a flounder, and so it's a flat fish. It works with the gastrocnemius to help in plantar flexion, and it's an antagonist to the fibularis longus, so it helps to invert your foot. Okay, so the fibularis longus everts it, your soleus inverts it. And again, you've got flexor digitorum and extensor and flexor digitorum muscles in the leg. When you think about flexing the foot, okay, so think about you're flexing the ankle. So when you're talking about tarsal flexion or flexion of the foot, you're talking about the gastrocnemius, that's plantar flexion. You're talking about the tibialis anterior, that's dorsiflexion. But when you're kind of talking about the toes, those muscles are going to be, again, kind of down here in your foot, and a few of them in your leg. I don't typically ask you to tell me the muscles that flex and extend the toes, okay, because it's just really hard to see on any of our models. So don't expect me to ask you flexing and extending the toes. I do want you to know which muscles flex and extend the ankle, or dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. So this is a back view. So here's your gastrocnemius. Gastrocnemius means leg belly, because like gastro, like stomach. So it looks like two muscles, but it's actually just one. It connects with the calcaneal tendon. If you cut that away, you can then see the soleus muscle. And then to the side, you have your fibularis longus. Now there's also a fibularis brevis, okay? So it's brevis means short, so there is a fibularis brevis, okay? So there is a longus, and not a shortest, but a brevis, but we're not requiring you to know that one. And this is just what that fibularis longus looks like, so that you can see it lies right along the fibula, so it's aptly named. And then just to show you, if you flex your toes, those muscles, instead of being in your calf, are actually in the bottom of your feet. So again, I'm not going to ask you to I'm not going to test you on that. But I did want you to know that when you're flexing your toes, those muscles are going to be in the bottom of your feet. So when you tickle somebody on the bottom of their feet and their toes flex, that's why, because those muscles are right there. All right, so again, as we learn these muscles, think about all the different ways I can test you on these muscles. So just to go through them briefly, let me see if I can get a better color than red. Let's see if I can maybe get yellow. Would that show up? Yeah. Nope, that doesn't show up either. Maybe black. Okay, this would be your sartorius. Here's your sartorius on this side. This would be your gracilis. Okay, this muscle right here and right here. These muscles that are between that Y, those are your adductors. Okay, adduct means bringing your thighs together. This is your rectus femoris. Okay, this is your vastus medialis. This is your vastus lateralis. On this side, vastus medialis, vastus lateralis. Okay, this is going to be your tensor fasciae latae, kind of coming off to the side. This would be your gluteus maximus. This would be your gluteus medius. Your gluteus minimus is going to be underneath that. You're going to have your rectus femoris here, your vastus lateralis, vastus medialis, sartorius, gracilis, and then these adductor muscles. Here's your tensor fasciae latae. Okay, so again, make sure you're taking some time to use these pictures and use your textbook and figure out how to identify these muscles. The hamstrings is going to be your biceps femoris. The tendinosus and membranosus are going to be the medial muscles. The membranosus is the one that's underneath, and then the tendinosus is the one that's on top. All right, so just pay attention to your pictures. Here's the model, so I can show you what they look like on the model. We have our rectus femoris here and here. This little diagonal line, that's the sartorius. Here's our medialis, then our lateralis over here and over here. Here's that iliotibial band, so my tensor fasciae latae is right there. Here's my tibia, so this muscle here is my tibialis anterior. Again, this is my knee, so that would be my rectus femoris here. This would be my iliotibial band here, okay, so tensor fasciae latae here, which means this is my lateral side, or my vastus lateralis. This is my vastus medialis. This is my sartorius. Okay, so again, you guys are just going to have to spend some time with your pictures in your textbook and label these for practice. Looking at the back of the leg, here's your gastrocnemius, gluteus maximus, the biceps femoris is the lateral muscle here and here. So here's our semitendinosus, and here's our semitendinosus, and the membranosus is kind of peeking out around underneath behind it. Peeking out from behind the gastrocnemius, you have your soleus muscle. All right, so this is a better view of your hamstrings. This is the biceps femoris. This is the tendinosus, and then this little muscle kind of peeking out behind it is the membranosus. Here's a medial view. Here's your gracilis, the long straight muscle, the most inner thigh muscle. Here's the sartorius, and then this muscles in the V, those are your adductors. All right. This will be your tensor fasciae latae here, so that means this is your vastus lateralis. This would be your fibularis longus. This would be your gastrocnemius. If this is the lateral side, this is the biceps femoris. All right, so I'm just kind of giving you some ideas so that you can go back and look at these models and identify them. All right, so again, this is a picture straight from your textbook, so you should be able to take this picture and go, okay, gastrocnemius, soleus, fibularis longus right here, okay? Vastus medialis, vastus lateralis. This would be your tibialis anterior right here, all right? This would be your calcaneal tendon. Here is another view of the lower leg with our models. Here's the gastrocnemius here. The little sandwich muscle right here is the soleus. This long muscle along the tibia is your fibularis longus. All right. Here's your gastrocnemius again. There is a little piece of sticky out right there. Is that the scientific word? For your soleus muscle. All right. So I've just kind of given you a brief way to try to identify these muscles in a PowerPoint. Again, I would take some time to watch Miss Graham in the videos that are more 3D interactive, and that'll help you a little bit more identify them as well. Again, be prepared for diagrams, pictures of models, and also those 3D pictures that I like from BioDigital Human. I really like these pictures for the exams as well, and you have access to that by going to biodigitalhuman.com. It's a free Google app. All right, so that is all I'm going to do. I do want to remind you that muscles are always going to be covered with skin. And the best way to learn the muscles is to learn them on yourself and on your friend, partner, spouse, kids, whoever will allow you to look at your muscles. So this is a great way because you need to know your muscles when they're covered in skin, because someone may ask you to give an injection in the gluteus maximus or in the deltoid, and you need to be able to recognize those. And unfortunately, most of us don't come with our muscles all defined like this. We can tell pectoralis here. We can actually see the rectus femoris and the rectus lateralis and medialis and sartorius. Most of us don't look like this. Most of us don't look like this either, but there are some of those like this as well. So you're going to see all kinds of people in the real world. So you need to be able to learn where these muscles should be located and try to locate them in real people. So again, if you have a friend or a kid or a spouse that would be willing to let you find the muscles on them, I encourage you to do that. It does help you learn these muscles and help you memorize them if you can actually think about them on an actual human. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do today. I hope you've enjoyed my lecture, and that's the last of the muscle lab. Good luck.